Alright, here we go. So, we've covered a lot of UTV stuff here, Razor stuff, and I want to show everybody this stuff. These are the Sled Turbo kits. This is for the Polaris.
Okay.
You make it for the Polaris?
Yep, we make it for Polaris, Skidoo, Arctic Cat. Have a bunch of different options, charge system, intake options, different exhaust systems. So we have a kit box A and a kit box B. One's the hot side, one's the cold side. So we have some intercooler kits, some water to air intercooler options, some tile exhaust, some standard exhaust. We have a bunch of different variations, but the cool thing is we got two different boxes, so we can just mix and match and have a package about for anybody. So ship fast and get the product out the door.
So you've got a new 15 Skidoo in the back?
Yep, got a 15 XM back there. We're doing an install on, making sure all of our stuff fits so we can start shipping 15 kits. Just, we've had, a couple prototype ones in the shop, but now we just got a full production one, so we're just making sure that everything came as it was supposed to from the factory. You just never know when a vendor's going to make a change and all of a sudden we have to redesign a component. So we just like to catch it before it leaves the building.
They moved the chain case a little bit on that, right?
Yep, they moved the chain case a little bit, rolled it back a little bit further. Shouldn't really affect much of our fitment, but we're looking at maybe doing a little bit of an exhaust change as well. Why we've got it here. So.
Yeah, right on. Well, let's see what's in the box.
Okay.
This is the air box.
Yep, this here is going to be the kit box A. This is the cold side, or kit box B actually. And so this is going to be an air box style kit. So we'll open this up and we'll kind of go through the componentry and explain a couple of the options, what makes us different than a lot of the other people. We say air boxes a lot, but if you look at all of our turbo kit, we don't use any boxes or box-shaped charge systems. All of our charge systems are all torque building tubular design. So there's a whole lot more velocity and throttle response in volume and round tubing as far as torque building air intakes rather than having a box and a whole bunch of air bouncing around in a box. Now we've got a torque building tubular style. So this here is one option we offer. We have an under hood cold air intake, but this is our out the hood snorkel filter for a Polaris Pro. Most commonly used on most race sleds. You'll see this pretty signature looking beady snorkel filter sticking out of the hoods on a lot of the Polaris, some of the Arctic Cats, and Skidoos as well. But that's kind of a
cold air intake.
Yep, cold air intake. The best air is completely outside. We do have one that draws from the stock location on all of the models, and it gives you a stock look, no cutting up the hood, and it just fits in there and it performs very, very well.
A lot of viewers always contact me and they say, I'm going to ditch the air box on my sled and I'm going to put a set of filters under the hood.
Yeah.
Should I do it?
No, under hood heat is horsepower robbing. Not only does it warm air cause horsepower loss, it also raises your it increases detonation substantially when you're breathing warm air. So
you don't do it.
You just don't do it. No.
Search for the cold air.
Yep, cold air is definitely key. So this here is our control box. We'll go over that here in a little bit. This here is kind of a deflector, kind of a heat deflector, more so than a heat deflector. This is for the Polaris Pro, and this is for the belt-driven options. So what we've found is if we can keep the slack out of the belt, so on the back side we have a zero tolerance, so the belt can't crawl up on the top gears and create a jump, and that's usually when you lose belts. So this has made our belts on our Pros last substantially longer, or a lot of guys don't use this and just use a front side tensioner. If you can keep the belt tight or keep it from wanting to walk over, or the flap out of the back side of it, you will have no belt drive issues. We run these thousands and thousands of miles with no belt problems at all. I know a lot of people are scared, especially after the first year, but we've come up with a lot of fixes. This is one of them, or a simple tensioner is probably the best solution, but this also helps substantially. There's really no heat issue, but it's more this backside zero tolerance, so it can't sit there and slap and crawl up on the top sprocket. So just little things that we've learned along the road that we take into consideration when we're designing a kit, so our customer has the most reliability.
Well, yeah, and if the belt broke, they'd maybe start to blame it on some heat or something.
Yep, we had that at first, and we did a lot of testing and had to prove that wasn't the case. And obviously heat is, but all of my failures that I've ever seen, or any time I've ever seen a heat related, is always on the brake side. What will happen is a guy will make a long climb and he'll descend down the hill and he'll ride his brake all the way down, and then he'll stop at the bottom of the hill. and the belt will melt on the inside from the heat from the brake side transferring to the inside of the belt. So that's, that's the main failure on belts is heat from the inside. So
That's good to know.
so this here is one of our torque building air boxes for the Polaris Pro. We have a lot of the same similar stuff for the Skidoo and the Arctic Cat, more out of aluminum there. But this one here, we've gone ahead and made a silicone mold just because of the contour and the fit in there. But as you can see, we have some volume here, so we don't have a pressure drop when you grab a handful of throttle. You have to have enough air until there is boost, and so that will give you a stock-like throttle response, and then this will build really quick charge and very, very good velocity. So
like a plenum?
Yep, kind of like a plenum, but it's all tubular torque building stuff. We found a lot of bottom end and throttle response and torque going to tubular design on all of our air intake charge systems. So in here, what we've got, this here is for our electronic solenoid for our boost control. We do monitor and adjust fuel based on charge air. So as charge air increases, we'll take away a little fuel, and as charge air decreases, we'll add a little fuel. So we're always adjusting fuel based on charge air temperature. And our control box always reads that, so you have a good read on what your charge area is and what your engine is breathing. So, and then this here is just our boost reference, so our control box knows what the boost is.
Right.
So, little charge tube goes there. And then the rest of this stuff, this is a really cool system that we've got for the way our throttle body's attached onto this Polaris Pro.
I like the way you package everything. You got everything. There's no confusing what it is.
Yeah, and on the instructions, it's like, there'll be a picture of grab this bag, and then it has a pretty cool layout of how this all works. So, if I had a throttle body here, I could show you, but it's a pretty simple concept. There's a groove machined in the throttle body itself, and so this here is a compression ring. And so basically you slide this onto the throttle body, there's an O-ring fit that drops right in the groove on the throttle body. Then you'll go ahead and you'll screw the throttle body to the machined ring. And then once this is all on the throttle body here, we have this little spanner wrench. You'll go here and just snug it up, and it's locked on. You will never ever lose a boot or have a blow off, due to a hose clamp.
Right.
It's a really small surface area that you have to work with on a Pearl throttle body or any throttle body for that means. We have, pretty strategic ways that we attach this component to the throttle bodies on all the manufacturers and all the different makes of throttle bodies, but this is how we do the Pro. Turned out really, really, really cool. So one thing that we do on all of our turbo kits, we don't rely on the stock fuel system to provide all the fuel for boost. All of our kits, whether it's a Skidoo, Arctic Cat, or Polaris, all come with dual auxiliary injectors. It just gives us, we can add stock-like fueling through the bottom and the mid-range, and then once the boost is there, we have really good atomization. We'll inject our boost fuel, and then it just creates a ton of power when you have that good of atomization. And all of our stuff is crankcase injected, and that's where you get the most power and the most atomization. So rather than right into the cylinder like the OEMs are doing it now for emissions or into the cylinder. So but this just tees right into your stock fuel line. Very simple, easy, not much for modification as well. So it just kind of all drops right into place.
What's the install time on something like this, one of these kits?
Well, a first timer. Me and another guy, when we first came out with this kit in 2011, we did one in like an hour and 54 minutes at a snow show in front of everybody at, in Salt Lake at the snow show, the very first Pro kit that we ever designed. But depending on the componentry, most guys will take about a day, an 8-hour day, just to take their time, double, triple check everything, follow the instructions, clutching, gauges. But it shouldn't be. It's a really simple install. It's basic tools.
A shop doesn't need to do this.
Not necessarily. It can be installed at home. We have a really good tech support. So if a guy gets stumped, he can just give us a call and we can walk him through it and make sense out of everything. But we have really good instructions in it.
So I can do it.
Yeah, anybody can do it. We have a lot of guys. If you have basic hand tools, there might be one little specialty tool for the clutching that you might need. But other than that, it's pretty simple. So.
Cool. Controller.
All right. One thing that sets us apart from most other turbo manufacturers, we are the only turbo kit manufacturer that builds our own electronics. Everybody else out there relies on somebody else's electronics to run their systems, and so our kits are actually designed around our electronics. So that really sets us apart rather than relying on another you know, I guess, manufacturer of electronics. There's a bunch of them out there and they do a good job at it, but if you're the designer and the developer, you have a pretty good insight on how everything works rather than trying to figure it out, because there's a lot of variables in electronics that go on. So
And it makes it easier for you to design and develop and test your stuff.
oh,
as well,
absolutely.
right?
And I can come back and tell my engineer, dude, we got to do something here, and he can make that change and it's right away. Those other guys don't have that luxury of that. So our stuff, you know, we ride what we, you know, test, and we make changes non-stop, and so our stuff's always improving. So these are reflashable and reprogrammable. So as we develop new, you know, software changes, we get to, you know, they get free program updates for life when they buy a turbo kit. So if there's ever anything that comes out, send us our box, or we have a few dealers that have reflashing capabilities. They just pop into their dealer, get it reflashed, and they have the latest, greatest technology that we have.
Nice.
So this here is solenoid. This is our boost control solenoid. And so what we're doing is we're monitoring boost through the control box, and then we're telling this solenoid.
Boost is pressure in the.
Yep, in the charge system. Yep. And so we're telling this, we're controlling this solenoid to monitor the wastegate, so it knows how much boost to build. So it'll build within 0.2 of a pound of your set point all the time, so it's always spot on. Okay. So that's kind of the brains behind the solenoid control. It would be like a guy sitting there with a boosty, sitting there cranking the knob all the time to make sure it's spot on all the time. So this pretty much does it all electronically with the brains in this box here. So it's all simple plug and play. Plugs right into your ECU. This is right into our charge air temp sensor. We got some auxiliary injector plug-ins, and then we've got our solenoid connector there, and then this here plugs into the air box. This is our boost reference. Okay, if you look into the end of this control box, we've got two lines coming in here. This one here is boost pressure. This one here is reading atmospheric pressure. Okay, one cool thing about our control box is based on true barometric pressure, it's always making adjustments, so you're always running the same horsepower, so it's consistent. So when you go up in elevation, it turns the boost up.
So it's
when
got
you
its own little barometer in there.
Yeah, basically exactly what it has in there. And it's doing the math between the boost pressure and the ambient pressure, so it's always shooting for not a boost level, but a horsepower level. So, you know, it makes the same horsepower at sea level as it does at 12,000 feet. As you go up in elevation, it turns the boost up to compensate for every pound of atmospheric pressure you'll lose, you'll gain a pound of boost. So that's kind of how that works. If you get a really cold, crisp morning, your boost will be turned down just a little bit. You get a rainy, misty, crappy air day, it'll turn your boost up. So it's always the same horsepower. Your tuning, your clutching is always spot on. It's just one of those days that you just pull the rope and it goes every day. It's just so consistent. So
is that waterproof?
Yep, 100% waterproof. We've had some guys test that in some water crossing scenarios, and usually one of the only electronic components that work after they get their sled out of the lake is the control box. So they definitely are waterproof. One other cool thing about our boost control and our fuel control system, you know, we have a few people, you know, that ask, well, this turbo feels like it has more, another like brand X turbo has more mid-range power, and it comes on way harder and it's way more violent than your system. But what we do on our boost control, it has a TPS input. So our boost control is actually throttle position based. So we have a very linear stock-like horsepower on all of our turbo systems, razors, snowmobiles, motorcycles. So at 50% throttle, it's only 50% of your boost. All a turbo knows is to build boost, right? And so that's why we don't have this violent. We have a really smooth, really drivable snowmobile or razor or dirt bike all the time, just because our boost is throttle position based.
Old school was just you'd plant the throttle and wait for the boost to kick in.
Yep, and then once it was there, it was there. It didn't matter if you were at half throttle, it's the same horsepower, 3/4 throttle. So if you're climbing the gnarliest, nastiest chute and you back out to 3/4 throttle because you have too much horsepower, it's going to tone you down just a little bit. On other turbo systems, it's still the same horsepower. You have to back all the way out of it, grab another handful, boost hits again, you're in a wheelie, you're out of control. This is so smooth and stock-like horsepower characteristics with just a whole bunch more, but just it's very efficient, and that kind of gives us a huge advantage on the on the race course, in the backcountry, technical terrain. When you're really relying on throttle control, when you need less horsepower at times, you can really accomplish it with this electronics, and it's really cool.
And you build these upstairs?
Yep, right upstairs. We do all this stuff in-house. Pick and place the boards, wiring harnesses, connectors, everything there. So, and that way we can, we have a tight eye and on all of our stuff, and so we have really good quality control. And then also, you know, it helps for teching and stuff too, so we know what's going on all the time. So pretty cool stuff there. One other thing here, this box has a lot of features built into it. It has this here, we can plug a 9-volt battery into this thing. We can power this up so we don't have to have the sled running to go through stats, menus, screens, fueling, so our customer can call us. We can walk him through some stuff, go through some stats, and if he's having a problem or we have new tuning numbers, we can, you know, he can easily do that without sitting in a garage full of smoke while he's doing that stuff and noise. So
Thoughtful.
so that's the tuning portion, or the, you know, the powering the control box. It also has an auxiliary button that we can plug into this. It can capture, it will, you push the button, it'll take 10 screenshots, so you can see exactly what RPM, boost, throttle position. If you had a, you know, a question of what was going on there, you just have to determine whether you're rich or lean and make a fuel adjustment. So there's that little feature. We can test the auxiliary injectors from this same button. And it also has a push to pass, which is basically an added horsepower. So say my set point was at 14 pounds, I had another 2 pounds on the button. Whenever I push the button, it's like an extra 20 horse.
That's
or
a
2
happy
pounds.
button.
Yep, just a little. My buddy's passing me. No, not now. Another 20 horsepower. Losing track speed, losing momentum. Just another, you know, another little feature that's really fun, more so than anything, just to give you a little bit extra go when you need it. So pretty cool box.
Yeah.
Boost, you can change the boost at any time, change the fuel at any time. No laptops, no nothing. All of the control of the whole sled, boost and fuel, is all within that box. So,
Which is all determined on what kind of fuel you're running in your sled, a bunch of other variables.
yeah, there's some variables, you know, but if you've got the right octane and the right clutching, this box is capable of controlling any boost and anything without changing fuel. So the cool thing about this, if I'm at 7 pounds of boost and running pump gas, the tuning is spot on. But if I change it to 14 pounds and go to race gas, all I have to do is turn it up to 14 pounds, make sure my clutching is set, and it will take care of all the fueling needs for you. You won't have to retune it. All those maps are already pre-built in here for the fuel curve based on boost. So it's really simple, so pretty neat. So
Right on. So now this is that's really the heart of the beast, but this kind of is too. This is the thing that breathes right here, right?
yep, that's the thing that breathes. So, you know, one thing that we're not claimed to be is we're not a turbo manufacturer. We do test every turbo out there, every manufacturer turbos, whether they are, you know, Borg Warners or if they're Aerochargers, KPAs, and we just keep on coming back to this turbo. It seems to fit our sizing needs. It lays out right, and it really works good. So we do use a Garrett ball bearing turbocharger in various sizes, but we do not, you know, we don't manufacture turbos, so, but we do test them all. So that's one thing that we do too. So, and there's a lot of other turbos out there. I can't say bad things about them, but this is just the best for our application and the best for our customers. So right here, this is our turbo oil. On the 2015 Pros, we've got a new oiling system coming, so you'll be seeing that at some of the upcoming shows and whatnot. But we got a new oiling system. But these are an oil that we've designed. It's a 2-stroke based oil with some other additives that lube our bearings in our turbo. You can use your standard injection oil as well if you needed to, but otherwise we have this oil that we've designed for that application. So this here is just a muffler. It's a deep snow muffler, and on the Polaris Pro, we actually have a patent on this, on the deep snow muffler exiting in the center of the track behind the drivers, so there's always airspace there. You'll never plug this exhaust, you'll never have any drivability issues whenever you ask for it, whether you're stuck, 5 feet of snow, heavy, wet, it doesn't really matter, it'll always have throttle response because there's always way for the exhaust to get out. So. This here is just some componentry, plug off the stock exhaust hole. This is a little kick plate to protect your toe from the exhaust on this machine, just so you don't have that. V-band clamps to hook stuff up to the turbo. All of our stuff is, you don't have to cut and weld. It's just bolt and spring to the stock mufflers. Uses the stock exhaust donuts, and we're all, you know, spring and donut mounted. That way we're not rigid, so we're not cracking and having failures, you know, of pipes and stuff breaking out. And so, you know, really reliable for thousands and thousands of miles as far as, you know, this stuff goes on. So
nice. You remember the old kits that were
I remember the old kits, and we're cutting mufflers and, you know, trying to get stuff to fit and angles, and you know, Polaris, Arctic Cat, Skidoo do such a good job with their exhaust pipes, and there's a lot of performance, and when you start modifying that stuff, it takes a lot of time and a lot of R&D, so it's really nice just to be able to use the stuff that they've proven and really, you know, make their sleds work good. You know, technology's come a long way in the last few years, and so we rely on the OEMs to keep their job, you know, keep their job up, and we can just keep on adding to theirs, and it just makes it really, really easy. So what we've got here is this is just our standard GT2860. We offer a variation of turbos depending on the applications, elevations, what they're planning to do, anywhere from, you know, 6 and 7 pounds of pump gas to 18, 20 pounds race gas, you know, hill climbers, chute climbers, tree bashers or whatever. We have a turbo kit and an air intake option that will match anybody's. All these kits are upgradable if you want to change the turbo or want to change to a water to air or any intercooler. It's all pretty much bolt on. So one cool thing that we do with our turbo systems is we pre-assemble it as far as you can, you know, in-house, so the customer doesn't have to worry about clocking his turbo or indexing, installing oil lines, water lines, any of that stuff. It's all pretty much pre-assembled. So on the Polaris Pro, this is about a 30-second install to, you know, put this on. You take off the stock muffler, and this just drops right in place, and the turbo's on. You just got to hook up a few hoses, hook up the inlet, you know, exhaust flanges all bolted on there, wastegate's already bolted on there and already pre-adjusted, you know, dipstick, water lines, just a couple little simple splice ins, and you know.
So the water, there's water, air, and cooler.
This here is the oil tank for this Polaris Pro. This is our oil ones. So basically what we do is we just recirculate the oil, and then this is just like a general maintenance. This is the only added maintenance on our oil tank systems, is you'll have to change your oil every 500 or 600 miles, just like you would your vehicle, but all you do is pump it out and put fresh in there once a season, or if it starts to get some condensation in it just due to the heat, then you would just change it if it gets milky. But it's a really easy serviceable part, only costs you a few bucks to do an oil change. So, but it just drops right on in there, really clean, really simple. Little electronic oil pump. Most of the units use that. Like I said, the 15 Pro uses a little bit different oil system than this one, but you know, pretty much just drop right in.
Stock Polaris kind of plugins.
Yep, all this stuff. We're not cutting and splicing into anything. Everything is direct plug-in, so we're, you know, trying to make the install as easy as possible. So no cutting, no splicing. You can take it off, put it on, you know, whatever you might want to do, you know, as far as that goes. So
that's it.
But that's the turbocharger itself. So that there is a complete turbo system. This here, you know, airbox system or torque building air intake system as far as the charge system goes, but you know, upgradable for, you know, any application. But this is a real lightweight setup. You know, on the Polaris Pro, if you were to leave the headlight and, you know, all the componentry in there, this is about a 6-pound add to your sled, but the horsepower to weight ratio is definitely in your favor. This kit on pump gas is, depending on your octane, we're talking like 185 to 200 real horsepower, no matter what elevation you're at. It's kind of your pump gas limitations. So, one other electronic component that sets us apart, and we sell lots of these to, you know, other turbo manufacturers, naturally aspirated guys. This is called an E-key. So basically, we make them in 1 degree, 2 degree, and 3 degree. It's a progressive timing retard. So basically, we have some electronics in here. We're working off the crank position sensor, and as RPMs increase, we're redriving the crank signal and pulling timing. So in the mid-range on a 3 degree, we're pulling about, you know, 1.5 degrees, and then at 8,200 RPM, we're pulling all 3 degrees. So we progressively pull timing just to make it that much more reliable and that less detonation prone. It gives us the capabilities to running that 200 horsepower on pump gas with this timing control, and this is available for all of the Polaris and Arctic Cat. We have them in
direct
1, 2, and 3 degrees. They direct plug into the crank position sensors on all models, and another component we build right in house that, you know, pretty cool. We have a lot of, you know, drag racers that what they'll do is they'll put an advanced timing key in, and then they'll pull the timing back out on the top end, but they want this launch off the bottom end, so they'll advance their timing 3 degree, but they want it back to stock by the end of the by the peak of their RPM, so they'll just plug this in there. So this works great for anybody that's having a depth sensor problem or having any detonation, whether it naturally aspirated or turbo 1, 2, or 3 degree. So
You make this for Arctic Cat and the Polaris.
Arctic Cat Polaris, yeah.
Nice. You guys think of everything. Like seriously.
Yeah, I mean it.
But your sledders doing sledder stuff, right?
Yep, we're sledders, razor guys doing, that type of stuff, and we're enthusiasts. Our stuff has to work. If it doesn't work, we're gonna find a way to make it work, and that way, it works for our customers. I mean,
you really do. We've been riding with you for yesterday all day, and you find a way to make things work.
Exactly. So, I mean, we're providers of fun, and if we're not providing fun for our customers, we have no customers. And if we're not having fun for ourselves, our customers aren't going to have fun either. So we really focus on that. So.
Well, thanks for showing us this kit today, and you know what? I see one of these in my future.
Perfect. Yep.
New sled coming in next year, so yeah, definitely going on. Right. And then we're going to come out and ride with you guys.
Absolutely. Look forward to it.